Okay.
Welcome to Fatherhood Unity Month, brought to you by Campaign for Black Male Achievement and United Way. We're here with our friend and brother, Quinn Wright. My name is Calvin Mann, president and founder of Good Fathers Only, and Encourage Me, I'm Young. Welcome, Quinn. Tell everyone all about yourself.
Well, thank you for having me. My name is Quinn Wright. I'm a financial advisor with Edward Jones. And so what that means is that I work in the investment industry and helping folks to plan for the future. And I personally can buy, sell, and trade stock in addition to help people with their long-term financial planning. So outside of doing that work, I do work with a nonprofit by the name of Everybody Ready. And I do more so work with fatherhood engagement and helping fathers to just develop their craft of fatherhood. And so the approach that we take is that fatherhood is a lifelong trade. So, we're often told that when you become a father, it's like, boom, you just know what to do. And experience teaches you otherwise. So, you
Right.
know, and you learn along the years that, sometimes where, you look back at how your parents did things and then you choose to either do the same thing or to do something different or somewhere in the middle. And so, and the lesson we learned along the way is that because I said so has value. Whereas when you're younger, you might not carry as much value. You're like, but why? Just because I said so, let's go. And so, I've been doing that work for a couple of years now. I've been working with Edward Jones for a couple of years now. And, I'm a father of three. And so that is what has driven me to do both, is just becoming a father and understanding what that meant to me and how much I hold that title up high is kind of taking me to where I am. So when I was younger, I always tell people, like, I always knew that I was like born to have a big title in this world. I just never knew that that big title was the title of father. And so it means something. It's special. And so I carry it as such.
Oh no, no, that's why we're doing this. This is why we are doing the work right now this month, celebrating, valuing, um, just teaching, sharing the information. Yesterday we were talking about investment, and so we'll touch on Edward Jones. I got a little story about Edward Jones as well,
Okay.
and it's uh, it's a fatherhood. I think a lot of times we want to make it as simple, and that's really not the case. You know, that's just the way it is. It's really not the case. And because of today's climate and the environments that you and I both walk in, it didn't make us feel good,
Yeah.
right? When you look at fatherhood, even right now, like I'm, experiencing, uh, some different things right now, just like, we got this thing all wrong. And if we just would value that, it'll be different. So, everybody ready? What's that all about?
So it's a nonprofit that focuses on kids developing. The part I work on for them in particular, because they cover a lot of different programs. But one of the big projects I help on with is the facilitating the fatherhood talks and putting on seminars where we kind of talk about fatherhood and how, in ways, the process that we formulate how we were taught how to be fathers, how we currently are fathers, and then how we translate that to our kids. And so it's really meant to be a journey in which we just kind of understand and kind of compact what makes us and what has been poured into us to give us our perspective and our point of view. And we kind of dial that back and deconstruct a little bit to, in a way, kind of come back together to see the value in that, and maybe some ways, and like you said, the ways that we didn't really get the full understanding of what it meant. And so we typically do that in a couple of ways. One way we do it is right now we have a podcast. We do it, the Dad to the Bone podcast, and we just, we get goofy with it. So because, at the end of the day, life is hard. So we try to have a joke or two. Actually, I was tuning in yesterday, so I was with that with you guys, soaking it up and feeling like I was a part of the conversation. So we do that, on our podcast. We just talk about fatherhood. Like the last episode, myself, it's a guy who's Puerto Rican and a white guy, and we're just about our experience dealing with George Floyd, and as a father, how are we talking to our kids about it? How are we digesting it as individuals? Because fathers, a lot of times, in general, we get marginalized just into being like a thing. And so the whole point of the work we try to do is to pretty much restore that humanity in the person, and not just for the way people view you, but how you view yourself, to see your flaws and see your beauty, and to see who you want to be, and how to reconcile that with the paradigm which we all kind of brought up with of what we should be.
Right.
And so
Right.
that's kind of the crux of the focus, is just, at the end of the day, how do we get you to reconcile your past so you don't carry it forward to your future? And so, a great example of that might be now where, the debate, and I'm not saying right or wrong, but when folks talk about how they discipline their kids, back in the day, grandma would tell you to go get a switch. Now, some would say perhaps maybe that's not a good method, but others would say, look, if we didn't give them the switch, look at them now. So it's compacting or decompacting those issues to say, at the core, what are we trying to do? Are we trying to teach? Are we trying to discipline or hurt? Or are we trying to teach and correct? And so understanding lessons, understanding the true meanings of what we mean. For example, a great example that I mean by right now is that everyone's saying like, well, some folks are complaining that we want to defund the police. Well, actually what they're saying is demilitarize the police and take other actions and have other folks step in. They're not saying we want to get rid of them completely. At least some people aren't. So understanding the meaning of why we do what we do, and then making sure we're being impactful in those ways we should be. And so that's a lot about what we try to do.
Well, yeah, demilitarize the police. Yes, for sure. Right, because it's just way too much. I get that. The other part of that is when you're understanding the dynamic that you were just speaking of about how the discipline, right? So what does discipline look like? The discipline is, it could be, you know what I mean? It could be, like you said, I chose not to. I was talking about this the other day about I chose not to use the switch, especially not even the extension cord, right? Like those things. Okay, so back then maybe it wasn't this many people, well, or this many problems, or whatever the case may be, right? We had to be taught certain lessons. I get it. But I remember having this walk with my mom. I was walking my mom always, and I told her, I was like, I'm never hitting my kids with an extension cord. Mm-hmm. Never.
Wow. Yeah, and that's I think studies have shown the ways, and and I think you more than ever, I think you embody that now. So I know you as a coach, so I know you as Coach Man, and so
Yeah.
in that, and you and I know that's a respectable title.
Yes, sir.
So I have a hard time not calling you coach, because when you earn that title, it's kind of hard to lose it. So
Yeah, you can do that. You can do that. It's okay. I appreciate that, because not many people really value my time back then. I guess as you become an adult, all of a sudden you start realizing these lessons that Coach Man was talking about, or now you're starting to, like you said, once you became a parent, you couldn't see it, with CT, and I remember, me and Coach Mac feeding y'all whole offensive line, you know, during CT, for football, we barbecue. So, I get it. I kind of like, I'm very proud of that work.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, it, and that work I think carries over into the work that you do now.
Yeah, yeah.
And to, you know, it's funny to hear you say that you wouldn't use, you know, extension cords and stuff, but it's not funny to hear, but it makes sense because, you know, as a coach and as a teacher, you know how to get the words across with your voice. Your voice can be as sharp as a sword. Your voice, I'm sure, can cut better than
Right.
an extension cord and mold better. And I've seen that. And so, and that's, as fathers, that's what we're trying to do, is to mold our children. We don't necessarily want to like teach them that if they do something, it's just a consequence. We want to teach them what the right thing to do is, but more importantly, why we're doing it. And so this might not be the road you want to go down. Like, you know, the conversation I'm having a lot with my daughter right now is like, she's like, Dad, I just don't like to read. I don't like reading. I don't like books. I just don't like it. And I was like, well, sweetheart, I can respect that. I don't love to read, but it's important that you're a good reader, because that will be the key to you having a good life. It's going to help you to understand things, to decipher things. And that little twist gives her enough to keep reading, because she says that I don't like reading, but you tell me this is going to help me out, I'm gonna keep reading. And that is the role of a father and a parent, you know, and a coach, is to give them that knowledge of like, look, it's not always going to be something you want to do, but this is what we're going to do, because it's
Oh
going to.
man, today, just today, my son, we were having this conversation. This is incredible, right? That we now here's that synergy, right? So that very thing, right? He kept asking, like, how were you able to coach and do the things that you did, and right when you had your own kids, what was that like? Because he said, I can't see it. It's just amazing how you're able to. I said, well, one of the 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 answers to all fathers is we have an innate ability to help other people,
Yeah.
right? It's in us naturally because of Father, right? For us to be able to, but if you don't know it and you don't want to share it and you don't realize it, then you're not helping, right? And
Yeah.
so for me, it was just like, for me, my experience was I I had the gift all along. I was just using it for the wrong reason. So
Mm.
when I was coaching young, when I saw you guys and I was coaching with you guys, I was young. So he wanted to know, how is it that I'm able to help transfer a kid's life this way? I say, well, you have to remove yourself, your judgment, and
Mm.
see, right? I said, because I had poor coaching, right? I had, you know what I mean? I had
Oh, yep.
right, right. So I had a coach that didn't care about my dreams or where I was going, right? So I always wanted to be the one to push you,
Hmm.
right? I'm gonna push you. I'm not gonna accept, because I know what's on the outside of that. So I could take you step by step, and I can build you from one step to the next step to the next step, and get you going to where, now you take off. You got it. It's like being pushed out the bird's
Yep.
nest. Sooner or later, you're gonna
Hmm.
start taking those steps, and you're gonna, next thing you know, and you're gonna go wee, right? And so now you can see yourself, and that's real. You know what I mean? And so you just got to be into it and understand that this is the gift God gave men naturally. When we become fathers, we become most powerful. That is my point, right? When you become a father, you become most powerful. Your awareness is open, your gifts are open. So I'm glad that you said, what you said, it triggered that thought. But so you've been with Edward Jones how long?
Been with Edward Jones the past couple of years now. I came over in 2016. I had a career in supply chain prior to working with Edward Jones, and you know what brought me over was the opportunity to be something I didn't have growing up. Was, to be honest, I didn't know too many Black financial advisors. I knew folks who did multi-level marketing things and, you know, were involved in other programs, but I personally did not know anyone who specialized in helping people to plan for the future, who could personally buy, sell, and trade stocks, bonds, mutual funds, ETFs, and do annuities and things like that. And so what that did was that allowed me to do two things, which is have a career, but also fill my cup in helping people, because I've always been the type of person that wanted to give back and to help out. And it's the reason why I do the fatherhood work, because not only does it help me to reconcile myself and my childhood, but it helps me and it gives me an opportunity to help other folks in ways that, you know, think about some things maybe from a different perspective. So I enjoy learning about the market. I enjoy studying it. I enjoy geeking out to, you know, the impact of things like COVID and 2018 when the market went down. And, you know, how does one start from zero and accumulate wealth? And how is the sausage made? I think for numbers has always been my thing, you know, when it comes to English and all that stuff. I guess I am like my middle child. Yeah, I could do math all day. Love math, love numbers, love imaginary numbers, which is a real thing, by the way. And, you know, everything. So it just was it was a better fit for me. And honestly, you know, in this climate, I enjoyed the fact that like I have my own, like this is my office and, you know, this is my career. And, you know, I have an opportunity to leave a legacy beyond myself for my family and for my community. And so that really, really inspired me about this. And, you know, not to say it's not a lot of hard work, because it is a ton of hard work, but, you know, the potential there. And, you know, I heard you guys talking about legacy. It's about legacy. So having that opportunity to have a real legacy is what it's all about, in my opinion.
Yeah, we were really going yesterday. I know, you know, I know you could, you know, feel how, you know, I thought yesterday was just beautiful for me. You know, the laughter,
Oh yeah.
yeah, right, and really got into it. So, you know, then I could ask you as well. So, you know, I got a small story. I was telling you about Edward Jones. We literally tried to partner with Edward Jones for our scholarship program.
Okay.
So we were trying to get Edward Jones to back our scholarship program, right? Where we could take, because of our mentoring program,
Hmm.
our kids sell product to build their own scholarship,
Oh, okay.
right? And so this is probably something that we can talk, because I don't know what happened with them, but we're finding it difficult to really match with anybody. So we're looking at some other channels for someone to govern and take care and watch over that money. With that, my next question is, what was it like when you became a father for the very first time?
It was scary. You know, it was scary as anything. Let me tell you something, because you know, I think growing up as a child, you feel like you have a choice, and you're like, yeah, I'm gonna have a son, and that son is gonna be my junior, and you know, we're gonna do all these things together. And so I was like, yeah, that's how it's gonna be, right? So 17 weeks later, they're like, you're having a girl. And I'm like, no, I'm not. And it's like, what do you do? Like, you can't, what do you do? Like, I don't even know, how do I handle her? Do I pick her up? Do I wait till she's 15, then I talk to her? So it was incredibly scary, and it was overwhelming, because like I just felt like I was wired to handle a boy. Like, I'm a man, I can talk to a boy. Like, what am I gonna do to a girl? And so it was incredibly scary for me, because I didn't, at first I did not feel like that was something I could handle. And you know, that was just my initial thoughts. But after a while of you know, wrapping my brain around it, like I got it. I was like, oh well, wait. So I'm not gonna teach her how to throw a punch. So I'm not gonna show her how to save money. I'm not gonna teach her how to be cool and have a little bit of swag. Well, I'm just gonna like hang her out to dry. No, we still, she knows my daughter can throw a mean punch. You know, we're still working on the throwing, but that's probably because dad can't throw that well. But
Right.
you know, But no, it's scary and it's overwhelming because that's where the rubber meets the road. You don't get to give the kid back. You don't get to, when you were in high school, at my high school, they would give you the little fake baby doll, and but
Yeah,
it's
yeah, we had
24/7.
we had it good. We had it good in high school. Yeah.
Yeah, but so it was. It's not a game when that kid comes and they're crying and your emotions get attached because this is your child, and so you don't have that desire to put them down or to pass them off. You're like, my baby is crying, I gotta figure this out. My baby is hungry, I gotta figure this out. Like, why are you crying now? I just changed your diaper and I fed you. Stop crying. But it's a tremendous feeling, and so it's a tremendously great feeling because you want to provide, you want to care.
Right. Yeah. See, I had I tell the story because I was around you guys, so I was young, right? So when I was the youngest varsity coach, so I was coaching Tammy, Toria, right? So that was a little bit before your time. So and then here comes CTU, right? But I was petrified, brother. I was like you, right? That's the first thing that most fathers say is they were concerned. So I get that. And then the first time you got to change a diaper, right?
Oh my God. Talk about fail out the gate.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So, but for me, luckily for me, we had a huge family. So I got to change CT's diaper, right? So I learned that part young. Because when CT was born, I was on a bicycle telling everybody in the township, I'm about to be an uncle. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm riding around the township telling everybody, I'm about to be an uncle. But in that knowledge that you gain through the experience that you have now as a father, what is the one thing, that you find very beneficial to you being a dad?
Ooh, what's the one thing I find being beneficial?
Yep, about being a dad.
Um, Geez, because I feel like there's so many things, but that's a great question. I guess the best part I enjoy about being a father is the conversations I have with my children and the relationship that we've built in terms of, you know, it kind of reconciles me in a lot of ways in my childhood because I feel like I'm having conversations with them that I wanted to have as a child.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm giving them the things, not physical things. I'm not talking about iPhones and stuff like that, but I'm giving them knowledge and just conversations that I wish, or opportunities just for them to talk and for me to listen. And to me, it's worth its weight in gold. And I adore watching them have their own like goals for themselves and their own things that they want to do. And like even the little artwork that they make, I'm like, you made that, and it's just that for me is satisfying. So, and again, I always that, like I said, I never knew that my biggest title would be dad, and it's just phenomenal to have those moments. So
Right. You just laid it out right there. I never knew that my biggest title would be dad. You know what I mean? And I feel you on that because that's the experience that I have. And then you find yourself like consumed with it, right? Whereas, you feel good about it, but not only that, at a certain time you're switching over mentally. Like, let me go.
oh yeah.
Right. And so you're literally having fun being a dad. We're the evolution of fatherhood. We're the part of fatherhood that um, the rules and the laws and where they all change. In the 70s you couldn't birth. A father couldn't do nothing. You know what I mean? They made sure they stripped him of everything, you know.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, they made sure it, period. Nothing, no house, no roof, no. So now, as I said in the conversation, it really, I did an interview the other day. It really worked. It backfired. If we can get each other on the right page, we can actually fix family better, right?
Oh,
You know what I mean? So it kind of like backfired because the thing that you meant for harm has now become this thing. It's become this this movement, you know, where fathers are really fighting you to be fathers. So like you called it, reconciling from you not being able to have those conversations. It was the same for me. Like I really wasn't really having those conversations because one, my dad was gone, and two, you know, inconsistent, and three, fighting for his life, right? Job, mistreatment.
mhm.
You know what I mean? No, you can't see your kids.
Oh my God.
Man,
So I feel sorry for fathers in the past for this reason, because in the past, fatherhood, I think the expectations of what fatherhood was then compared to now are entirely different, and different from the perspective of the paradigm has shifted in terms of how we see being a man in fatherhood. And back in the day, your job was just to go bring home a check. And you would go work in the plant, or you would go work as janitor, or you would go work wherever, and you would literally, if you had to, you would go kill yourself just to bring home that check,
yep,
just to bring home that money, and your job was done. And so, as a man, you know that there's so much more to you. You know, there's so much more to being a father than just like working yourself to the bone and bringing home a check. And now, I think we acknowledge that there's more pieces of fatherhood. We acknowledge the mental health aspect, and really that a lot of those folks, you know, who were working in the plants back in the day, working all those shifts, that was kind of the reason why some of them had like alcoholism and adultery and everything else, because they weren't really allowed to, in the paradigm of life, they were set up to just do one thing, and that was just bring home the check. And now we know, like I did some of the protesting, and on my sign I wrote, I'm a father, I'm a son, I'm a husband. Like I am an American, because sometimes they're trying to strip away our Americanism, we'll call it, but we're Americans too. And so by allowing people to like be more than just, you know, like back in the day, like fathers holy, you know, like doing something like this fills you up. You know, this reminds you like my role as a father is significant to the development of my children, and I need to be present. They need the gift of my time. And so that's it's amazing to me now what we get in getting to be just, you know, a father. And you know, I'm not ashamed to say it, you know, I can throw down in the kitchen, you know, and I know a lot of men throw down on the grill too, and in the kitchen. And so, you know, that shift is everything. And I guess I feel happy to be a father when I am in this day and age.
yeah, I, I'm with you, right? Because there's so much more to us, and
Mm-hmm.
we know that our value is so much more, right? You know, it's funny how they never wanted you, the system, the people. Like I was looking at the Reconstruction. I've really been eating this information, and I'm writing this letter to PBS. I thought it was amazing, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so I'm looking at this, and I'm going, and they're showing how during Reconstruction, as Black men, we handled our business, right? We were
Mm-hmm.
senators. We were right. We played the game. We did everything that was asked of, and every turn of the situation, it was always something. Here come a law. Here come a hater. Here come a rule. Here come another one. Here come a riot. Here comes some murders. Here come this, right? Every chance
Mm-hmm.
we had to really be very, very significant. And we were significant during our history in America. We have done some remarkable things as a culture. Fatherhood, right? Fatherhood became now is Superman. Now I go to work, come home, or I'm working for a better, right? Because for you and I, for me, I'm trying to figure out in my legacy planning and in those things how to uh, become even more significant for my legacy. So the standard is set.
Mm-hmm.
Like Dad said it, my daddy said it. You know, like I was seeing the Reconstruction, and it was this church in South Carolina. It was beautiful, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the church was still being ran by the pastor's family from way back in 1920 something is still ran by this family. And it's just amazing how that's what you want to do for your children. To me, that's what makes America better, when we're all better. When you think that you have to take something away from another American, oh, wait a minute, not really. It's a wartime. Yeah, let's all come together. You see what I'm saying? But ain't no wars. It's war right back on you. Like, that conditioning is ridiculous. So now you have to look at it from the standpoint, and this is why I'm screaming unite fatherhood. If we unite fatherhood, I can hold you to the task, right? Because
Wow.
you understand what fatherhood is about.
Yeah, and and let's not let people off the hook who are not fathers, because a lot of those principles that hold true to what make you a father or what make you a man, and that integrity and the way in which you're carrying yourself and you're choosing to behave. And so I have a buddy of mine who has a saying, like, he says, you are who you are when nobody's looking. So we have to, I totally agree, and having that accountability to each other is something I think that we've lost sight of. And everyone needs to be who they are, but at the same time, iron sharpens iron is what they always said, right?
That's what they said. So
So to have that in you, to have that accountability, to have that example of each other, and to feed off of each other. I mean, to talk about take it to investing in finance, and a lot of what it comes down to is habit, having good habits, having consistency. I heard you mention before, talking about putting away money consistently. I mean, it's not always about the money. It's about the habit that you form. It's about the processes that you're doing. It's about the steps that you're taking. And so, there's an old saying, is like, you don't harvest the same day you plant the seeds. That's how it comes to this knowledge that we're trying to instill. And that's also how it comes to investing as well. It's not always about, you can't see the fruit. You can't see the fruits of your work. You just know you got to put in the work. And that's where the working together and going towards the same step, you can see it all come together and you can take steps forward.
so I'm a new client. I come to you, right? Hey, how you doing, sir? Uh, I'm interested in Edward Jones. And what is
Okay.
your spiel?
Well, I mean, my spiel is, let's take a step back and let's talk about what's important to you first. So, in regards to investing, the most important part is the planning part. Take it back to, you don't harvest the same day you plant the seed. Before I can help you figure out where you want to go, can you tell me about what your goals are? Are you looking to talk about having some money aside, and as we used, as I'm sure you heard, of coffee can money or that mattress money, or are we looking to have that emergency fund in place along with saving for retirement? Are you a business owner? I mean, where do you see yourself in 5 or 10 years? When do you anticipate? Have you thought about buying a home? So what we do is, based on an established process, we help you figure out where you are, where you want to be, and my job is to help you figure out how to get there. And so,
So
and that's how you put your money to work.
and so does that, I mean, do you guys charge a fee, when you first coming in the door? What does it look like?
No, I don't. So I'm a licensed broker. So I make money from managing money for folks. So what that means is all of our conversations are always complimentary. That means whenever we talk, we're just talking. So and my goal again is a part of helping people plan their legacy, is to educate the community and to provide information. So if you come and sit down and talk with me, it doesn't cost anything. So the one thing I always ask of folks, if my ask is always, if you know someone I can help, please give him my number. So that's always my ask. But in terms of people always have this myth, and so I always equate being a financial advisor with being a doctor, because folks always want to wait until they have something, or wait until they pay off something, or wait. And my advice is, no, come now. Like, our job is to help you plan for the future. And if you wait until you got enough money, or you wait until you're healthy, you're financially healthy, it's never going to happen. So let's start where you are now. Figure out what we can do to help you get there, and then you can be rolling, because the ultimate goal is to get your money to be working for you. And so and have that financial freedom, because at the end of the day, that's everything. So the sooner we can start that conversation, the sooner we can get that ball rolling, the sooner we can figure out what needs to happen between now and then to help you to develop it. And I understand that our relationship is not like, it's not a one and done. I'm not here to sell you and say, all right, buy this, buy. No, it's an ongoing relationship, because your life's going to change. And there are going to be some things that you just can't prepare for. And that's why we work together, because things are going to happen. I mean, it's inevitable. I mean, and it's not just a saying, it's statistics. Statistics say things are going to happen that you can't prepare for. And so what my job is to do is to not tell you that, but to help you be prepared when that unexpected happens. And so that's a lot of what we talk about, is how do we get there? So, you know, there's a lot of ways in which you can invest, and, you know, some folks do that, and I see the value in that. But what I bring to the table is an opportunity to plan something together, to give you a sounding board, to give you a professional to bounce ideas off of, and figure out avenues to help you get from not just A to B, but A to Z.
Would you recommend? Would you recommend um, 3 different channels? So one Edward Jones, another Robin Hood. Would you recommend that for someone in
Sure.
financial planning?
Sure. And so that's a good question as well. I think that multiple accounts are always better. However, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to have it in different places. So what do I mean by that is, for example, if you're working with Edward Jones or you're working with myself, we can have different accounts with different goals. Like we can have, like, for example, you have a retirement account, you have an emergency fund, you have just a basic brokerage account, or you have a fund that's going towards buying your first home or your down payment on your next car. And so one can be more aggressive or moderate or conservative based on what the objectives are. So at the end of the day, though, it's that diversity that does help you, because, you know, again, when we're talking about investing, it's about the habit and learning the best ways to get your money to work for you. So, and what type of vehicles work best when, you know, for example, investing in general, in my opinion, is a long-term game. So you want to buy low and sell high, but that only matters if you're doing it over a longer period of time. So there's a term called speculative. So speculative just means you're kind of guessing, and that's what happens a lot of times. That's what happens when you buy a lottery ticket. You're gambling. It's speculative. Probably not going to win, but you're taking a guess. And so my job is to help you to stay away from that type of stuff, but more so help you to invest soundly in things that we know, you know, and it doesn't have to be things you don't never heard of. You know, I think, you know, it can be things that you normally like. You know, it's just a matter of, it's really at the end of the day, my job is to help you come up with a game plan. And there's many ways to get there.
Well, we're gonna have to get there. There,
Absolutely.
we have to make sure that fathers um, really understand this part of the game. And you know, a lot of I'm saying this because I'm concerned about the energy of the men, right, or the young men, or the men, or the young fathers, right? I'm concerned about the energy because, like you were saying, there were certain things that are not in place. Now we have these things in place, and they may not trust them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because YouTube got a lot of people messed up.
Yes, it does.
Man, because you
Wikipedia.
put something on YouTube, they swear up and down, brother, that's the truth. YouTube, I got this off of YouTube, and this is, you know, and these conspiracy theories, and right, is really fracturing a lot of people's decisions. I'm watching a friend right now, just like, and I'm just, it's nothing I can do to save them. Like, they
Yeah.
believe what they believe. They bought into it. And I think sometimes we need to believe in something other than what we're actually seeing, because we can't trust what we're actually seeing, because it has always let us down.
Sure. Sure. I mean, you know, I call that a sanity check. You know, you want to make sure, and that's the other point of I think a professional like myself is, in anything you do, you need a sanity check to make sure that you're not too far off the track. And that's a lot of what the purpose in having someone like myself, but to speak more to people not trusting. Yeah, there's a lot of false information right now. And there's a lot of things that sound great, but is it really at the end of the day going to help you get closer to your goal or further away? We live in such a microwave society where we want everything like right now or we quit. And particularly when it comes to, investing in yourself or investing in the market, it's a long-term game. If you have to set yourself up for the long road. If you really want to see that success, I think a great example, well, I don't want to use that example. I just think the longer you can wait, the better your return. And I guess I will use this example because it's very relevant to how things can play out in the market. Everyone was mad at the governor of Michigan for having some of the, did I lose you?
No, you good.
Oh, okay, it changed views on me.
Yeah. No, I had to get this. Go ahead, I got you.
Yeah. So a lot of some folks were mad because the governor of Michigan had some of the strictest rules when it comes to COVID, when it came to like the stay-at-home order. You may have seen like even protests with folks taking AK-47s to the Capitol, and
Oh
you
yeah.
know, and there was all this commotion about it. But at the end of the day, she stuck true to the principle she believed in, which is that the longer we can stay contained, the smaller the impact of COVID will be. And so we fast forward to now. Now, when you look at the rest of the country, and I'm seeing pictures where COVID is going rampant in places like Arizona, Florida, Arkansas, places that were like, no, COVID's not big here. I don't see what the big deal is. Now they're going off the map. But she stayed true to her principles, and now Michigan is is the epitome, not only in the U.S. but around the world, of how some folks are containing COVID. And I use that example to say this is what it comes down to the principles of finances and the basics of savings and fundamentals of investing. If you can stay true to your fundamentals and you can hold tight, the payoff will be a lot larger than if you kind of give in and say, all right, well, let me just do this. Let me just kind of stop putting away or stop setting money aside. And so this is really what it's about, is staying true for the long haul and having that long-term vision to see, okay, I'm not going to benefit from this today. I'm not going to have a return from this today, but I know what I'm doing is taking me somewhere and it's leading somewhere. And I can see enough to believe that it will grow from there. And that's really what we have to do, is be able to have that long-term vision.
Oh, yeah, and see, that's the gamble that insurance, everything takes, because if you take care of yourself, you got a good chance of living a long time, right? And it's in having the investment and being able to invest. As I was sharing before, I was really into it,
Mm-hmm.
and I went through some things and got out. So I pulled everything, right? I was on my way, 401k beast, everything.
Mm-hmm.
And but now I'm really turning back to it and turning up the process to make sure that even our mentees have access to the knowledge and watching themselves and their money and their process grow.
Yeah, and you know what? I have, I thought I had it here. I might have gave it away. Um, this, I think this is it. This is it. Uh, this is a simple guide I give out. It's called The Wall Street Guide to Understanding Money and Investing. You can pick it up at Amazon. It's by the Wall Street Journal, but it just gives you the basics of what is what and how they work at an elementary level. And just having something like this, it doesn't help you to understand how to use them, but it helps you to understand how to start watching them and how to start following them and how they work. And so I recommend, knowledge is power, and having books like these and having resources really help you to get those nuts and bolts. And so, it's just like playing Madden. You can have the whole playbook, but it's knowing when to use the plays. And that's a lot of what my job is to do is, you can have the playbook, but I know how to execute it as Coach Mann knows how to execute the plays, and when to press and when to fall back, and when to run the triangle at the top of the key and keep the ball rotating. It's all about understanding the strategy behind it. And that's really one of the key words about it is
Oh,
strategy, having a plan. And that's why we started when you asked me how will we talk, we started about talking about what's most important to you. Let's not talk about the money. Let's talk about where you're trying to go. What do you want? And you're muted, by the way. Oh, there you go.
yeah. I know I would just, no, you're fine. I just
Yeah,
muted it anyway.
yeah. It just it's about having a plan, and that's really what I help people to do is develop a solid, reasonable plan that's achievable and working towards their goals. And then when we get you to developing plans, then we get you in the direction you want to go. And we're gonna. I always like. I don't know. I always like to do it, but you remember Dante Culpepper and how he would do like rolling. You just got to get rolling, and then you get going. So that's really what it's all about, building that knowledge base.
Okay, well, at this point, tell us where, everybody give us your, matter of fact, here's a great one for you. Tell us what fatherhood means to you and then where people can reach you at.
Okay. Oh, what fatherhood means to me. Uh, geez, how do I sum that up, Shirley? Fatherhood means to me, it means being a teacher. It means being a comforter. It means being strength. It means being a listening ear for your children. Uh, it means being the person that they can depend on when they can't count on anyone else. Being a father is all about giving your kids the best foundation that you possibly can. And I'll tell you what fatherhood is. Fatherhood is being imperfect too. And fatherhood is knowing that you don't have all the answers, but looking for them. And teaching your kids that you don't have all the answers, but teaching them how to figure things out, and teaching them that sometimes you don't get it right the first time, but you try again. It's teaching them how to fail and get up. It's teaching them how to figure things out on their own and get it wrong, and learn how to forgive yourself, and then move on and be stronger. And so to me, fatherhood is teaching your kids how to deal with the world in a successful way. So when the world attacks them, it doesn't destroy them. When they take a few blows, they're like Rocky, and they say life's not about how hard you can hit. It's about how hard you can take a punch and keep going. And so teaching them, that's what fatherhood is. We all, I take pride that all my daughters can throw a punch, and teaching them how to go all the way through and put your shoulder into it. But more importantly, I fail them if I don't teach them how to take a blow and come back, or duck and move and come back, because that's what life is about, is that persistence, that resiliency, and just being unbreakable by this world. And so to me, fatherhood is giving them that unbreakableness and giving them that hunger to go get it, and to not be stopped when they stumble. So to me, that's what fatherhood is. So, and you can find me. You can call me in my office. My number is 248-853-2112, or you can find me on Edward Jones. Just put in Quinn Wright, QuinnWright. I'm on LinkedIn. I would encourage everybody to find me on LinkedIn and connect with me that way. Or you can connect with me on Facebook, and you can find me. We can talk. So, again, I don't get paid to have conversations, so I'm always open to talk and to educate. And so anytime, any place someone wants to talk, we can set something up and continue the conversation.
Well, just so you know, you touched on about 15, 16 values that fathers bring, right?
Mm-hmm.
We bring so many values to the table. A lot of people don't really know and appreciate that. I love how you just touched on so many of the important ones, being there, resiliency, being able to get back up, right? Because we're gearing up our process. We're gearing up our process to move toward. We're changing over and smashing suicide. So our mentoring program has been smashing suicide for years. So now we're able to teach these young cats how to help others, right, and bring them through. So our future leaders, This is how we smash suicide. Resiliency is one of those ways, but leadership and encouragement and allowing them to take place, allowing them to lead, allowing them to breathe, giving them the right words and the tools so they can help their classmates, right? Because right now, for suicide, the African American boy,
It's sad.
it's sad, right? And
It's
and that,
it's
that biggest missing ingredient is that male, that father, right? That's the biggest missing ingredient. We don't really want to hear the truth, but I'm about to shove it down your throat. You're gonna hear it. That's the biggest missing ingredient. Where a 5-year-old boy, right? And black boys number one, 5 to 12. White boys number one, two, 5 to 12. Hispanic boys number three, 5 to 12. So it ain't like we just, you know what I mean? We have this issue. And so we need more fathers to the table to get involved with mentoring and go. So I truly appreciate your time. You're more than welcome.